multiplying and reducing fractions. What's the most important step in reducing fractions? That's right, factor. What does it mean to factor again? It means to write as a product, right? And so the idea is, when you write as a product, something times something. What do you call those things that are multiplied together? They have a name. They're not called terms. Terms are things that are added, right? Things that are multiplied are called factors, right? That's right. Okay, so the way you factor this first one, since they're not like terms, you'd have to use the distributive law. You might feel more comfortable writing it in additive form first, but you should get used to looking at it either way. You're going to factor the b out, right? b is a factor, and 7a minus 4 is a factor. Here, they're like terms. You actually would combine them, and then you'd factor this into primes. There's three factors here. 2 is a factor, 5 is a factor, and x is a factor. On this one, what do you do here? You would probably combine. I think those are like terms, aren't they? So you get 18ab, and you could factor that using primes. Here, let's see, what would you do here? You can't factor this. There's no common factors, right? So you can't always factor. I guess you could say 1 times the quantity 8ab plus 9. That would be okay. Or you could just say can't be factored. That's fine. Okay, so here we go. We're going to continue to our journey here through simplifying these fractions. Remember, the trick is you you don't want to actually multiply it out. You want to start to factor everything, and then look for common factors. We're not actually writing that step anymore, where you break off the factors of 1 like we were doing in problems at 27 and 28. Instead, we're just going to circle the common factors. But you know they are factors of 1. That's why it works. So what do you have left on the top? If you take away the factors of 1, I think you have a 6 and you have a 5y on the bottom. That's how it is. This one, you would, let's see, can you do anything here? Yes, you can combine those. Those are like terms. What is 9y minus 3y? It's 6y, right? Now what would you do? You want to multiply this. You don't actually want to multiply it out. You want to start to factor. Negative 6y, negative 1 times 2 times 3 times y times negative 10. Negative 1 times 2 times 5. 4 is 2 times 2, and 12 is 2 times 2 times 3 times x times y. Okay, it looks like we factored it right. Y's form a 1. Anything else? Probably a 3. And a couple of 2's. This 2 with this 2. I think that's everything. What's left on top is a negative 5. What's left on the bottom? I think we have a 2 times 2 times x, 4x. That's what I get. Let's do some more. Now remember, the trick is to factor everything, right? Now there's two ways to factor. You're going to use primes when you factor 6, but how do you factor 2x plus 4? You're going to use the distributive law there, right? Because there are two terms and they're not like terms. So when you use the distributive law here, you get 2 times the quantity x plus 2. Here you get 2 times 3, here you get 2, and then this becomes 12, 2 times 2 times 3 times x times y. So let's see, we can cancel a 2 and a 2 and a 3. That's it. You can't cancel the x plus 2, it's different than the x. So you just have an x plus 2 on the top. I think you have a 2 times x times y. Yeah, that's right, that's your answer. Let's do one more and then I'll give you some to practice. Now look at this one, this is kind of interesting. Same idea, we're going to factor these things. You're going to use the distributive law here, distributive law here. If you want to change to additive form first, you can. Or if you feel comfortable leaving it, just leaving it as a minus. That's good. That's actually better probably. Either way, so you get 3 times the quantity y minus 2 times 2 times 3, and this becomes 2 times 5. You factor a 2 out of here, so you get times 2 times y minus 2. So what can you cancel? Let's see. I think you can cancel a 2. And you can cancel something else. You can actually cancel this y minus 2. Do you see that? That is actually a common factor. Just like 3 was a common factor over here, the y minus 2 is multiplying the top, and the y minus 2 is multiplying the bottom. You can circle the whole thing, and that forms a factor of 1. So what's left is 3 times 3 on the top, 2 times 5 on the bottom. So sometimes a factor can be more than one term, right? I will do some more and then I'll give you some to practice. We're going to factor this on the top. You get 3 times 2x. Now, x plus 3 can't be factored anymore, but the 4 can be written as 2 times 2. You can cancel a 2, or it forms a 1, I should say. So the answer is 3x over 2 times the quantity x plus 3. Now, can I cancel those x's? No, you can't cancel those x's because they're not the same factor, right? This is actually a factor of x plus 3. This is a factor of x. So the reason why you can't cancel them is they're not common factors. This is your final answer. Here on number 6, the trick is to write this as w over 1. And when you factor this, what do you factor out of here? Couldn't you factor a w out of those two terms? So we get down to here. Is there anything that you can, any factors of 1 over here that you see? Yeah, the w's actually. The w's a common factor. Final answer, 5 over x plus y. Alright, now this one, you want to factor. The bottom is just 2 times a, b. The top cannot be factored. This is you have to use the distributive law here, right? Because it's more than one term. So there's no common factor, so you just can leave it like this. So there's nothing you can do to this. If you can't factor, then if there's no common factors, you can't cancel anything. You can't form a factor of 1. So this is your answer. There's 1 factor on the top, and there's 3 factors on the bottom, but they're not common. So therefore, that's your answer. This one, the trick on this one is go ahead and simplify. Simplify first. So if you multiply the top out, combine like terms on the top, you get 2y plus 4, and then you factor the bottom as 3 times y plus 2. Is there anything we can do to this? It turns out the answer is yes. You can factor a 2 out of the top, see? Now the top is 2 times the quantity y plus 2, the bottom is 3 times the quantity y plus 2. Is there anything you can do? That's right, the y plus 2's form a common factor of 1. And it forms a factor of 1, I should say. So your answer is going to be 2/3. Yay! All right, give you a couple to try here. Go ahead, hit the pause button.
Okay,
we'll
so let's go over
these
these then.
So on the first one, look, these two problems look very similar, but they're quite different. Here you have a multiplication on the numerator, right? So this when you factor this, on the top you use prime factors. On the bottom you have to use the distributive law, right? So how many factors do you see on the top? You should see, let's see, 5. Let's see, -1, 2, 2, 3, and x. There's 5 factors. How many do you see on the bottom? There's 2. There's a 2 and there's an x minus 3. Any common factors? Yeah. The 2 is a common factor, so your final answer should have been -6x over x minus 3. Over here, you see there's a subtraction here and a subtraction there. They're not like terms, so unfortunately you're going to have to use the distributive law on both of these. You see? How many factors do you see on the top? 2. How many on the bottom? 2. Any common factors? Yeah. X minus 3 is your common factor, so there's your answer, 2/3. There you go. Let's see. Got time for a couple more. See if you can do these. Hit the pause button. Go over these. So you want to simplify this. We're going to factor everything. We're going to factor using the distributive law here. So we get down to here. Any common factors you see? Let's see. I think a factor of 3 would work. Final answer, 2 times the quantity a plus 3 over 5, which you could also write like this. If you wanted to multiply it out, that would be okay too. 2a plus 6 over 5. This one, the secret is to factor the 3 out of here using the distributive law. You get down to here. Any common factors? Look closely. Any common factors? Yeah, the a plus 3's. a plus 3 is a common factor. So 6/5 is your final answer. If you're getting this, you really got it down well. Let's see, this one, let's write it as x over 1 first, and then we're going to factor a 2x out of here. So you could write it as 2x times 2y minus 1, or 2y plus -1 also would work. Alright, so anyway, any common factors when you look at it like this? Yeah, the 2 and the x's are common factors, so those form a 1, and you can cancel them. But what's your answer? Is it 2y minus 1? It's not. It's 1 over 2y minus 1. And again, the reason why it's 1 over 2y minus 1 is whenever you cancel everything, there's always a 1 left. Here's why. This is the step that we don't write anymore. Remember that in problem set 27, we were actually I made you break this off and form a factor of 1, and then you removed a factor of 1, right? This became a 1. Well, when you break it off, the question is, what's the other fraction? The other fraction has to be a 2y minus 1 on the bottom. You have to have a 1 on the top, otherwise it won't equal what it was. So that's why I made you do that, so you'd see how it works. This last one, let's see, kind of similar. You simplify top and bottom. I'm going to go through all the steps here and change it to additive form and use the distributive law carefully here. And you get down to here, and then I'm going to combine these terms, and look what you have on top. You have 2 times a plus negative 2. You can factor that. And so you end up with 2 times a plus negative 1 over 2 times a plus negative 1. Wow, what a great problem. So the 2's cancel, and so do the a plus negative 1s. What's your final answer? Is it 2? No, it's 1/2. Why is it 1/2? Because same reason before. When you cancel everything there's a 1 left. And the reason is because of that step that we're not writing anymore. You take the common factors, you pull out a 2, and the a plus negative 1 form a 1. The other fraction has to be a 2 on the bottom, and you have to have a 1 on the top when you pull everything else out. And when you remove this factor of 1, your answer is 1/2. There you go. Alrighty, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.